Hello, Fiona here. Right, I'm going to talk about writing 4-part harmony or 4-part chords for soprano, alto, tenor and bass. So I'm just going to turn off my fans, making a bit of noise. That's better. Okay, so this is for grade 4. I'm using May 2019 paper A. Okay, so I'm going to jump straight into it. So question 5.1. So where it says, using minims, write out well-balanced 4-part chords for SATB using the chords shown, this bit here, by the Roman numerals. So here's a Roman numeral here. Okay, we'll go into that in a minute. Double the root in each case. This is very, very important. The question is very specific and it's asking you to do a specific task. And make sure that each chord is in root position. Okay, so I'm going to break this down a bit. So there's quite a few things going on in this question. Okay. The first bit, they are asking you to use a specific note value, i.e. use minims. So it has to be written like that. And depending which part you're writing, we'll go through that in a second, because the sopranos and tenors, the stems go up, and for the lower voices, like the alto and the bass, the stems go down like that. It's just that they don't get in each other's way when you're writing it and it looks clear. Okay. So we're going to do with this key here. So they've given you the key and they've given you the corresponding key signature, do D to D major. So D major, as you know, has 2 sharps, which is F sharp and C sharp. Okay. Right, so we've got that out of the way. Okay, so now what's this thing here? So this Roman numeral, usually when you're writing chords in music, each degree, actually we'll start with the scale. So each note of the scale of D major, for example, has either a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or they have Roman numerals. So yeah, as if you're writing the number, but in Roman numerals. For example, so for D major, I'm going to put it down here. So you've got D is 1, E. I'm just going to do straight numbers for now. E is 2. F sharp is the 3rd degree. G is the 4th degree. A is the 5th degree, or the dominant. B is number 6. C sharp, because it's in the key signature, is number 7. And you're back to the tonic D, which is 8. 8 and 1 is the same thing, because it's the same note. So you start on D and you end on D. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch. I've got some manuscript paper here. So I'm going to actually, let me turn it this way. I find it easier writing this way, and then I'll turn it back. So I'm going to start. I'm actually going to write out the scale of D major using the key signature of F sharp and C sharp. I'm going to write the actual notes: D, E, F sharp, G. That's not a very good G. Let me rub that out. It's more like an A. Right. G, A, B, C sharp, and then you end on D. So that is the scale of D major. I've written it in treble clef. If you're a keyboard player, you can actually go up the scale in chords. Okay, so as you know, the chord, A chord, you have the first, the third, and the fifth. Which the first is usually the root. The third, we won't go into inversions today, but basically it's the first inversion, and you've got the second inversion of the chord. But we're only going to deal with root position chords for this exercise. When I say root position chords, it's when you see chords on top of each other like that. So there's no like gaps in between, as you can see. So I'm going to, using the these are the main notes of the scale. The bottom note is the actual scale, and I'm going to build up each of those notes with a chord to go on top of it like this. That's what the chords look like if you're a pianist. Having keyboard studies is quite important for all instrumentalists. Whether you play a flute or a violin or whatever, it's always good to have keyboard studies, which makes it easier when you're doing music theory, because you have to be dealing with different clefs, not just the treble clef. Okay, so you can see I've got, so here's chord 1. I'm doing this in Roman numerals this time. Chord 2. I'll explain why some of the Roman numerals are lowercase and uppercase. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, or 1. Okay. If you can see that, actually, let me put it this way. Okay, so this is chord 1. We're in the key of D major. I'm going to put D major here. D major, okay? So the bottom note of each chord is the actual scale. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. So the bottom note of each chord is the most important note, because those are the notes that make up the scale. The other 2 notes that are on top of it are just to add up the 3-note chord. Yeah. So if you're a pianist, when you play the chord, it's like every other note. For example, this first one here, what notes can you see? You can see there's a D, there's an F sharp, and there's an A. Yeah. You notice it's every other note. So you play the D, miss out the E, you play the F sharp, miss out the G, and then you play the A. So it's kind of like a gap in between, which is why you have the first, third, and the fifth. So this is the first, that D is the first, the F sharp is the third, and the A is the fifth. These are very important because this is going to help. This is like the basis of 4-part harmony. Okay. So you notice that, as I said before, some of the Roman numerals are in uppercase, some are in lowercase. So this one is in uppercase because it's a major chord. Chord number 2 is a minor chord, so that's why this number 2 is in lowercase. And again, number 3, the third chord in the key of D major, that's also a minor chord. Chord 4 and chord 5, you can see that they are uppercase because these chords are major. So I'm going to put like a big M for major, small m for minor, or we can put M-I-N, M-I-N. I'll put M-A-J there. M-I-N, M-I-N. These are both major. And you can see chord number 6, small e, supposed to be a small v, small I, is a minor chord. Minor. And chord 7, you got the, actually chord 7 is not even a major or minor. You notice I've put a little circle next to it. It's actually a diminished chord. We'll come to diminished chord further on down in your theory, but a diminished chord is a chord that's made up of minor thirds, but don't worry about that for now. Just to note that chord 7 in a major key is usually a diminished chord. We write that as dim. And the sign for a diminished is a small circle, what I've put there. And then lastly, you're back to chord 8, which is the same as chord 1. Okay, so the whole point of me doing this is to help you with this. Okay, I want to go to this question here. I'm only going to do one question and then I'm going to leave you to figure out the next exercise or the exercise that you have on your paper. Now, they're asking for chord 4. What key are we in? We're in the key of D major. Okay, now let's bring my D major worksheet or my exercise here. Now, they want chord 4, don't they? As I've always said, I mean, a good thing to do is to write out the scale with the chords on top of it, and then you can pick out the notes in chord 4. In this exercise, here's chord 4 right here. What notes do we have? We have G, you have B, and you have D all on top of each other like that. G, B, and D. So what you do, go back here and write it in letter form. G, B, D. These are the only notes that you are to work with in chord 4. It can't be any other, you know, because each chord is specific. Yeah, you notice each chord is specific and it has specific letters. It can't be chord 2 because chord 2 is E, G, and B. They ask for chord 4. That's what we want, okay? Now, just to recap what we discussed in the last lesson with regards to, you know, the spacing for the SATB. So remember, you're writing this as if you're writing this for a choir. So in a choir, you have the high female voice with a soprano, which is soprano, the low female voice, which is alto, the high male voice, which is tenor, and the lowest male voice, which is bass. Okay? All right. So, and they said they want, you have to make sure that each chord is in root position. Now, root position basically means the order, the order of notes, as like here. All of these chords are in root position because they're in order. All of these are in order, yeah? So chord 4, the G is the first one, the B is the next one, and the D is the next one. This is in order, which is what I've written here. G, B, D, yeah? Okay, so the best way to write out the 4-part chord is do the soprano and the bass first. This is what I normally do. Is do the soprano and then bass, and then you can do the two inner parts afterwards. The two inner parts will be the alto and the tenor. Okay, so root position, the G has to be the bottom note. Okay, so I'm going to put the G here for the bass like this. And how do they want you to write the notes? In minims. Yeah, don't write it as semibreves or crotchets or quavers, otherwise it will invalidate the question. It will be wrong. Okay, so, and the stems for the stem for the bass has to go down like so. And then what you do is, once you've written a note, you can tick it off like this. Right, you've done it there. But the question says double the root. Okay, so you've written the G once, you need to double the root. So let me see which other part we can put the G in. We need another G, don't we? Because we have to double it. So you have two choices. You could put the G in the soprano, or you can put the G in the tenor. It's purely your choice, but for this exercise, I'm going to put it in the soprano here. And which side does the stem go on the soprano? It doesn't go down, otherwise it will get in the way of the alto. The soprano stem goes up. Okay, so I'm going to tick the G twice to show that I've doubled the root. See what I've done there? Yeah. Okay, so obviously we can't use the G again because we've doubled it already. So that leaves just two more notes left. You've got the B and you've got the D left. Okay, and there was one important rule I mentioned before, and it's the fact that you can never double the third. Well, we can't double it anyway because we can only use these notes once, but that is a rule. Okay, never double the third of any chord. And I'm going to actually send you a video which explains why. From what we've learnt at college, when you if you do double the third, that's something that J.S. Bach never did. You know, if you do double the third is a very strong note. It's very prominent in the chord. If you double it, it sounds like the root of another chord, and it doesn't sound very good. You know, so, but I think there are other reasons why that rule is very, very important. But I'll send you a video for you to look at to explain it. Okay, so we've doubled the root. Now B. We want to use the B somewhere. I could use the B in the tenor. I could use it in the alto, but for this exercise I'm going to use it for the tenor. The reason why is that it's always good to keep the tenor part as high as possible. Yeah, so I'm going to keep tenor high, because that's what J.S. Bach did in his chorales. So the spacing is quite important. I would never put a tenor probably below F, because you've got to think about sorry about that. You've got to think about the voicing. You don't want the tenor to sound like a baritone or a bass. A baritone is a high bass, you know, and low notes on the tenor will be fairly uncomfortable for them to sing. Yeah, they're a high male voice. So anything above F for a tenor is good, but anything below that, not very good. Okay, so I'm going to tick off the B. That just leaves one note, D, which I will put here. Okay, I'm going to put a bracket. So the three upper parts, the soprano, alto, and tenor, should be kept high. Okay,